Welcome to the Hustle HQ podcast, where life, fitness, and business come together. We're here to bring you stories and strategies to help you break your barriers and unlock your full potential. I'm Connor Wigren. Let's get into it. Donovan McDonald, welcome to the show. Guys, we have an awesome guest here today. He is the Director of Sales of Centurion Labz. He has a great insight on the inside of the supplement industry. So let's welcome him now. Go ahead, Donovan. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Donovan, as Connor said. I'm pretty much the Director of Sales, Director of Marketing, Manufacturing, Product Development. I mean, there's so much that goes in when you're running a small brand compared to, hey, let's kick it to our marketing team. Let's kick it to these 5 people that we have on the team. There's actually only 2 of us.
We deal with the same thing at Fitness Society. The small team and trying to grow, everyone has to do their part. That's like the hardest thing. And their part at 120% all the time. Like,
100%.
There can't be like I don't really feel like it today or this week.
No. And I mean, there's so much that you have to do, so many hats that you have to wear that it's like, how do you not burn yourself out?
Exactly.
Right? When you're doing 12, 14-hour days and then it's like, you try to keep up with your personal Instagram and like, I am so sick of my personal Instagram. I'll be honest, if we'll talk about the background of how we know each other for a long time.
So funny thing, before we opened Fitness Society, way before, as like teenagers, I think, and into college, Donovan and I have followed each other on social media. So it was just by pure coincidence, got to Florida, opened a supplement store, wanted to carry Centurion Labz, and Donovan ended up being my rep for the company. And I was like, dude, I think I know you. And I looked on social media and we've been following each other for years.
Yeah, it's like one of those situations where like, and that's like with the whole global presence now, it's like with social media, it's you can know someone without actually meeting them in person. Like we've known each other through social media for so long until we actually met in person. What was that, back in 2020, 2019, maybe?
Yeah. And now we're like practically neighbors. We live down the street from each other.
Yeah, literally.
Crazy. And if you guys don't know this, if you're not really in the fitness industry, if you're not in the fitness space, it's incredibly small. If you meet even a handful of people, you'll start to meet everyone. Like, no one is really out of reach in the fitness industry. It's so tight knit, especially like where we're from, the Northeast, with the Pittsburgh Pro, the Northern Natural. Those shows all intermingle so much. You end up just meeting anyone and everyone.
You usually see the same people usually compete in that Northeast circuit market because there's very specific judges in that market that everyone wants to get in front of, right? I mean, we could talk for hours about this, but I mean, everyone kind of knows everyone after a while in those markets. So I'm sure we've crossed paths. I know we've competed at probably the same shows, but like we actually didn't know each other, but we knew each other through social media.
Well, like Derek Natcher, Jamie, both of those guys, I competed at the same shows as them.
Yep.
Ben Hartman, same show as them. Like, it's so crazy. And then all these people go in their own directions and
then it all comes full circle and everyone comes to Melbourne.
Well, like Julian Smith, that super famous natty bodybuilder.
Quad guy.
Yeah, I competed with him at the Natural Northern. Natural or not, I competed with him.
Yeah.
He was there.
Can say it.
But I think what the people really want to hear from you is like, let's get into the backstory of Centurion and like the back end of the supplement industry. So starting out, Centurion's been around for a long time, right?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years as of this one.
Okay, and that's not under.
That's not under us. That's not fully under us. So a little bit of background. I'll keep this brief, or we could go for an hour on this. So in 2014, Centurion was founded by 2 doctors outside of Philadelphia. It was more of a super hardcore niche brand. They were doing like, back in the day, you could do 1,3-DMAA, you could do SARMs, you could do pro hormones, you could do these really hardcore things.
Hey, watch the hand on the table. I can hear it like big time, the mics from the.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You can talk with your hands just in the air.
And I might ring on this finger. So,
So they were doing like DMAA.
They were doing like things that you can't do. And let me
was it even DMAA? Because
oh no, back in the day it was, because this was
it wasn't more. It wasn't anything else because I used to take Gotta Rage Reloaded.
We don't know that. We don't know that. There was no testing back then. There was no precedence of what a manufacturing standard should.
So original Gotta Rage would give you the most insane workout, and then you'd crash super hard. Gotta Rage Reloaded, the container that I still have that I've sent you pictures of.
Yeah.
me and my buddy Mike used to take that, and we would work out for hours. And like you'd be like so like ready to go. You'd be like, you'd hit chest and be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna hit a little arms real quick. Like it would just put you in this like aggressive state of go, go, go.
So twofold with that, there could have been something in there that wasn't on the label, which unfortunately really does happen in the industry a lot.
Yeah,
We
but
can
it's
talk
slimmed
about
down a
that.
lot.
Oh yeah, there's definitely way less of that. The FDA has gotten way more aggressive
Mm-hmm.
in terms of enforcement on that, and there are a lot of brands out there testing other people's products
Yep.
and calling them out, which is great. I actually think that's great. And that's
Peer
good for
checking.
yes, but that's really good for the industry because that keeps everyone in check and everyone on the same playing field, right?
Yeah.
But with that product too, it's then you had different ingredients from 1,3. So once 1,3 went off the board, there was DMHA. You know, some people still try to use amp citrate even though you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Amp citrate was one of those that was really like go, go, go.
What are like the big ones that like aren't supposed to be in products?
1,3 DMA, DMHA, amp citrate. Now there's like halo stashin, hordenine, hygenamine.
Anything that works too good, they take out.
But pretty much the things that are super, super effective.
Now, are there actual like health concerns that could be taking those? Like they're not actually good for you?
And usually where they'll go off it is cases from the military. Like 1,3 got taken off the board because there was a military member that took too many fat burners with 1,3 in it and went to cardiac arrest on like a ruck march. So that it's usually when they look at something and it's an amphetamine derivative.
Yeah.
That's when it's like immediately crossed off the board.
So we have that in store with especially the younger guys. Dude, I like double scoop this. And I'm like, don't do that. It's not made to do that. The suggested dose is on there and it says, do not take more than 1 scoop in a 24-hour period for a reason. And especially, I mean, you figure you're double scooping, triple scooping some of this pre-workout, you're getting 1,000+ milligrams of caffeine alone. And I really, really urge people, do not. No. Double scooping is not cool. No. It is a quick pass to the heart attack on the wrong day. Like it really is.
No. And really the stigma behind that isn't it the driving force of like 1,3 and DMHA? Because most of the younger population, they don't even know what that is. That has been outmarketed since 2020. Basically, that's been really taken, all those have been taken off the board, really been enforced on by the FDA. It's more or less social media saying, how can I look cool?
Yeah.
Right? How can I set myself
dry scooping, double scooping?
How crazy can I seem here by dry scooping, which dry scooping is probably one of the most ineffective things.
It doesn't activate.
I mean, you need water to activate half these supplements. I mean, and your gut, usually most people are not hydrated enough to activate those supplements by just dry scooping.
Yeah, you are wasting product dry scooping.
100%.
It is a definite.
You're still going to elicit an effect that some of that caffeine's going to dissolve, but it's a question of how much is it actually.
Actually, you want to hear a good one that I heard yesterday? Yeah. Sorry, bro, if you're watching this, but I got to put you on blast. I had a guy tell me he dry scoops his protein. No. He goes, dude, it just tastes like pudding in your mouth. Absolutely. And I'm like, no one does that. He goes, you should try it. And I'm like, I'm not trying that. Absolutely. No one. He goes, I just do like a quarter scoop at a time, just a little swig of water. It just tastes like pudding. Yeah. And I'm like, no, ew.
And on top of that, you're talking about like a 25, 30 gram scoop. Like what? Like, I mean, some of the pre-workouts, some of the cheaper pre-workouts, you can get away with a 5, 8, 9 gram scoop, just hitting it back. Like, I could see taking a dry scoop of that and being okay. But dude, like some of our pre-workouts are like 15, 17. Some brands are up at 20, 25.
I don't understand the whole are the RTDs. I get it. They're super convenient. Yeah. But I have so many people tell me a day in store that, I don't got time to make protein shakes. I'm like, what are you?
Laziness.
Yeah, what are you? Are you a CEO of a giant company?
There's always going to be a market for that.
So inconvenient.
I mean, it's so much more expensive, so much more inconvenient, but people have it sold in their minds that it's more convenient for them because it's only $1 transaction or a couple dollar transaction versus buying a 40. Though. Well, they don't understand. Like, okay, you get
$4 times 30, a month.
Exactly. So like, they're looking at this 30 servings, but then you exit by 30, and then the pre-workout that you just bought that would have been 30 servings, same exact formula, you just paid double to triple per serving if you would have just bought the tub.
Back to the like dry scooping and double scooping and stuff. Since Melbourne hasn't really seen like a true supplement store in a long time. I mean, we had one beachside, we had Pound Nutrition too, but they were kind of like flash. They weren't, I mean, the beachside one was here forever. Pound Nutrition was here for a couple of years, but like no one that marketed to the extent we did.
Mhm.
So we're getting all these new people in that are like just GNC and Vitamin Shop people, which is completely okay. But they're coming off products like Ghost and buying God of Rage. And I'm like, hey, I get it. Your Ghost has 150 milligrams of caffeine. This has 325
Yeah.
and much, much more. So we can't be double scooping this.
Yeah.
And I always double scoop my pre-workout. No, you double scoop a low dose pre-workout. These will blow your heart up.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, I appreciate that you do that because not all stores do that. I mean, I have a great, and we'll get into this, I have a great set of retailers that I work with on a daily, monthly, weekly basis that I put my trust in giving these high stim pre-workouts to and saying, please don't kill people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's we don't want to see kids out there double, triple scooping our pre-workouts because they're not designed to do that. That's not what you come up with, right? So we really appreciate that you do that and the work that you do in the community to educate those people because that's ultimately what we want. We want to stay apart from the pack by education compared to, hey, what's the flashiest marketing that we can put out there, but it's a subpar product.
Yeah, but talking about being apart from the pack and a flashy product, where did you come up with the idea for God of Thunder? So God of Thunder, if you guys haven't heard, is the first fully liquid suspended entire pre-workout. So it has your caffeine, your citrulline, your glycerol, all in a liquid shot. And it's the first one ever done. So what made you think of that? Or how did you even get someone to attempt to make it for you?
So we have a great manufacturing partner.
Okay.
They're over in Orlando, Macrocap Labs. Shout out to them. They're amazing at what they do. We were over working on some like warehousing stuff and some manufacturing stuff, some completely other like out there stuff. It wasn't even like a thought. And someone was talking about I believe it was Mike Reef, who was talking about the liquid glycerol craze. And I was like, oh, you know what? I've seen so much hype around that, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, what could we do differently?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't seen anyone do like caffeine in it. I haven't seen anyone do beta alanine. I haven't seen anyone, really try to put an all-encompassing.
I wonder why no one
together.
has tried it.
Well, I'll tell you.
You found out.
There's a reason, and this is why it's great to have a partner like Macrocap.
Yeah.
Like my background is in biology and chemistry. That's what I went to school for.
Yeah. What did you do before supplements?
Well, so a little bit of background. I went to school for biology and chemistry.
Yeah.
I was pre-med track, decided not to do that. Came out. I was actually sponsored by NutriBio at the time, which you also carry.
Nice.
Worked for them in the sales department for a couple of years. Left, went and did orthopedic sales. And then the Centurion thing had its opportunity in about 2020 to really take that over, spearhead that project, and go full steam with that, which I'll go in a little bit more of like between 2020 and now.
All right, so the creation of God of Thunder came from what idea? You guys were looking at making a glycerol, and then
we weren't actually. We weren't at all like. It's something I've considered in the past, something that we really never even talked about as a team, and we were there at Macrocap and had the conversation about it, and I was like, well, why has no one done a caffeine one or a caffeinated one?
Because why hadn't anyone?
So you have a couple different problems without giving away too many trade secrets.
Yeah.
There's a couple different chemistry equations that go into the glycerol because normally in RTD you're dealing with water. You're dealing with water-based dilution. Really simple. You can use all the supplements A through Z, all dilute into water. Glycerol is a whole different ballgame.
So like what it can hold.
What it can hold and what can actually dilute into it.
Okay.
Because it has a different density than water. What's the most amount that you can really get into it? And then there's certain supplements that actually won't even go into glycerol.
So it can only hold so much in it.
Correct. So if you look, a lot of people give us a lot of kickback for only having a couple 100 milligrams of beta alanine. Like I wanted to put 3.2.
Yeah.
Like really wanted to load every one of our pre-workouts have 3.2, but there was only there was the dilution
how do you find
issue.
Out? Like how do you
trial
find
and error? That's all pure trial and error.
So pretty much took the liquid glycerol, pumped it full of ingredient, and said, okay, this fell out, this fell out.
Yeah. So there's theory behind it of what can really go into glycerol, so you can really narrow down that list just from that if you understand that.
Now, is it like similar to like a half-life? Like if you put beta alanine in glycerol, does it like just time out?
It's not a half-life. It's a dilution. Okay. So it's the actual dissolving and holding of the liquid compared to, a half-life of like degradation.
Okay.
But then you have like pH and that kind of stuff that comes into play too. So with degradation and bacteria growth and they're with liquids, it's a whole different ballgame. And that's why I love working with Macrocap is because they're the best at that in the industry.
So you guys were able to pin it down. You sent it in to be tested, and everything held up.
So yeah, the greatest thing of working with MacroCap is they help us third party test all of our products coming out of there now.
Is it maxed out to?
Yes.
Could you squeeze anything else?
No.
Is there any way you could? Could you make it a bigger container? Could you make it?
I mean, if we want to put it in a half gallon, we could. But like, how many people are going into the store buying a half gallon of glycerol?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not.
It's so expensive.
And it's not. And a lot of it. I mean, I know it says 16 servings on there, but legally we had to measure it in tablespoons.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to carry around a tablespoon before they go to the pre-work, to go to the gym? Like, no one is, right? So they're going to take a capful. It's going to end up being 22 servings, like every other pre on the shelf. It's going to hit extra hard. It's going to.
It hits hard and fast, guys.
Dude,
if you haven't tried it yet.
It really, because of the high quality liquid glycerol, it's like fivefold what you would think of with a powder glycerol.
Yes.
It really hits way
rapid acting. You said that they do all of your third-party testing. Now, are all supplements third-party tested?
No.
No.
Like across the board.
Across the board.
No, absolutely not.
I knew that answer.
No,
I
no.
just wanted to do it for the.
Just
to be clear, guys, I knew that answer.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, there are plenty of people still doing illegal things.
Now, like, how would you? I've never manufactured. I've never created anything, as you know. Like, how would Sid and I go and make a pre-workout if it wasn't checked up on or tested or anything? Like, would we really like doing like bathtub supplements or like?
So you would find usually a smaller manufacturer, which everyone's got to start somewhere. Like you can't go to the big boys that are doing everything to a T.
Or
macro cap. Like, I mean, they have high minimums. Like you can't just be starting off the bat and being like, unless you had a lot of free cash.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, let's start off here, right?
Yeah.
That would be great. We didn't start off that way.
No.
We didn't have that kind of money. So
you
you
guys
kind of have
started
to
pretty much tanked, right? You guys were like.
So yeah, so back to 2020 when we took over the brand. I mean, unfortunately, they got rid of all the what we call gray area stuff, now banned stuff. They really didn't understand how to like get back into it after that. Make something like either semi-compliant or compliant.
So they turned it over to you guys without the gray area kind of stuff.
Well, there was some gray area stuff. So let me be really clear about that. There was some gray area stuff. There's still DMHA.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal was to figure out how do we continue to keep the Centurion name, keep those consumers happy that have stuck with Centurion to 6 years up to that point.
Yeah.
How do you keep them happy and not tank the business even further?
And people do stick with Centurion.
They do.
mean, just for like kind of a mark there, Centurion has been our longest standing brand since we opened. They are one of the only brands that we opened with that are still with us 4 years later, or nearly 4 years later. Every other brand has come in and fallen off, either not quite literally fallen off, but fallen back in sales. We still carry them, but they just don't do as well. Centurion has been a very consistent go with us. And then once the God of Thunder released, that really kicked off as well. I'm hoping for some new products from you guys, really. Well,
I'll be honest with you. We have 26 products. We have 26 products. I think more or less what you're going to see from us is flavors. You're going to see flavors. Like we have Godly Cree.
Okay.
It's unflavored, so writing on the wall, maybe what I do or don't do with that. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If you look at some of the really successful brands in the industry, how many flavors do they have the same product? A ton.
Well, think of like Superhuman.
Yep.
Superhuman literally changes the label and the flavor. I'm sorry, but there's nothing different about any of their pre-workouts.
But it creates a marketing piece that keeps
with like
it fresh.
a fat burner additive or a little extra pump. And I mean, it is like a microscopic change between their products, and they're good products. People do love them. They market well, but change the label and the flavor, and they got a new pre-workout.
You don't even have to change the label. You can do like,
But they do. I mean,
I know, and it works well for them. But I mean, if you look at some other companies, I mean, I'm not going to give them airtime.
Yeah.
But like, there's some companies out there that have 20 different flavors.
Would that be expensive for you to change labels constantly?
Yes. Oh man, don't get me on a tangent about labels because we've been through
you
the
guys struggle with
gauntlet in the past 2 years with labels. We went through 3 label providers, got in a really bad position with that. Now we've went back to our original label provider who was doing great work to start with. I hate that we were ever put in the position that we weren't able to use them. But now we're back to them, and they've been nothing but great since July.
Awesome.
Super happy with them. They take care of us really well. They're out of Miami. but they do great work.
Man, you have like a whole triad going on right here. You're Melbourne,
Dude,
Miami, Orlando.
The thing is with the company, there's only 2 of us. So we have to find these good partners to work with, right? You know, you won't see us blasting, you know, buy one, get ones online because like we just don't have the team for that. That's not our setup. Our setup is like,
And
how
also,
do we...
your products are quality.
Correct.
If you're getting like buy one get 2 free products,
There's something off.
you have to question the quality and the integrity of the product. And that's something I wanted to ask you as well. What are some of the issues that come once you start mass manufacturing? Like these major brands that are doing, you know, hundreds of thousands of units at a time. It always seems like once a brand breaches that level, their quality starts to fall. So why is that?
So there's a couple reasons, and the most of it is margin, right?
Okay.
When you look at your base level margin, right, you have a couple different factors. So you have your product margin to wholesale, and you have a product margin to retail. So when you're doing a lot of retail online businesses, how do you drive that to your website? It just doesn't happen magically.
Yeah.
You got to have influencers that you have to pay commissions on, or you have to have meta ads or TikTok ads or something, but you have to pay money for that. And it's a lot of money, thousands,
So they start
tens of
nickel
thousands.
and diming their products.
Correct. Well, they'll bring down the quality of the product. Not exactly the quality of always the line item ingredient, but the overall, like the scoop size or the serving amount or the blend itself. They might cheapen it a little bit because they don't want to drop below a certain margin, because then if you make more and more money, it's great that you're going from 1 million to 20 million. But if you're still only netting 1 million at the end of the day, it didn't really help you out.
You just worked harder.
Exactly.
You do see that a lot in business. Like you do 500K at 50%, then you do $1 million at 25%.
Yep.
And I think that comes out to be about the same amount of money. Yeah, it does.
Just about, yeah.
So you're doing more work, more effort, and your margin's dropping, making the same amount of money.
Yeah.
That is one of the challenging things with all the different things we sell in store: drinks, bars, meals. The margin is a tough thing to balance out. So you're trying to find quality products with good margins, you know, to balance out those like, you know, grab and go.
Yeah.
But yeah, margin's a challenging thing in business.
And the way we structure Centurion is to last for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
A lot of these bigger brands are looking to scale and sell. They don't really care about their margin to a degree. They want it to look good on their portfolio, but they don't want it to be like, hey, like if I drop from 40 to 30, but I increase my base level, like my gross income by millions of dollars, that looks great to investors.
Yeah.
That's what they want to sell. For us, we
sell
want to
off to? Like who
private equity. Private equity firms, and then they repackage, resell it, whether they're looking to just make a quick buck, which that's usually what it is, and then will it survive, will it not? Sometimes like beverage, that's really big right now.
Yeah.
I mean, beverage is the biggest thing in the supplement industry. Most people don't understand that, but beverage is the biggest thing.
Being like energy drinks,
Yes,
like canned.
100%.
Really?
100%. That's the biggest thing. You see like, you know, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, like these big multinational brands are buying up small supplement, or not small, but larger supplement brands, beverage programs.
Interesting.
Because they are so lucrative. Now, the question is, I don't do that, so I don't know what the actual margin in that is. But scaling wise, and when you bring down and you have to run all these ads and pay all these money to influencers, you have to lessen somewhere. There has to be a margin balance. So they're going to have a lesser of a margin than we do working with you guys. But we do that because we want to create a base level margin to survive for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Like that's how I learned in the industry with a company that has survived for 25 plus years. Like, how do we create something that I can sell to you for the next 25 years? Your consumers are happy. They can really trust something. They can trust your advice by getting good, consistent product at a good quality price point and be happy and continue to come back here and buy it from you locally, then drive the business online.
Nice. That's kind of like, I guess that's kind of what we did, only it's just different business. We're trying to go build the local brand, build that local base of customers, and then scale into the online, like then grow online and grab that audience there.
You have to have that presence. Like in today's day and age, you can't ignore that. Like we have that too. Like we honestly, up until the beginning of this year, we never ran a single meta ad.
Wow.
Ever. I mean, it was
And
all
you grew it
grassroots.
organically?
Yes, all organically. And then at the beginning of the year, we're saying, hey, we gotta we got to kind of like turn up the notch to help our wholesale partners.
That's
right.
awesome.
We recognize that there was a need for our brand to be out in front of more faces, for people that aren't coming into stores, right? How do we touch those people? I mean, some of it, of course, is going to get to our website. I mean, that's just going to happen. Those buyers are never going to leave their couch.
Yeah.
But how do we get those people that are walking
Well,
past
they
your
leave their
store?
couch.
Well, we hope they leave their couch.
Or
That's the
they're buying
ultimate goal.
pre-workout for no
but,
reason.
But once again, we're not running a sale. We're not running like a, hey, get a free duffel bag. Like, we're doing everything to have awareness, to get people into your store, to touch more people and be familiar with the brand before they walk in here, so that you can sell your trust of your process compared to having to sell the brand.
Yeah. I think more people are going to start going in-store shopping. I think the wave is coming back to where, like, online there just isn't, you're just buying and you're looking at an image, you're like, and unless you're educated on supplements, you're not getting any like, oh, this is what, Sid bought this last week. He said he really liked it because XYZ.
Yeah.
Or, this person bought it. They didn't like it because XYZ, And I think online, you're buying an image. You're like, I hope this is good. Buy. Yeah. And then if you're disappointed with your product, it's, whatever. There's no consultation there.
No. And you're right. This industry is very cyclic. I mean, I've been doing this for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
In total. Let's just call it that. And it always comes in like a 3-year circle. Mom and pop will get really, really hot. Then it'll kind of go back online. Then it'll shift back and forth. And I think we're like this year where we saw a little bit of the dip because of the introduction of TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think you'll agree with me. If you go and buy something on TikTok, A, you don't know what you're buying most of the time. And B, it's usually pretty cheap. If you see a cheap price, there's a reason it's cheap, right?
The best brands never discount. If you've ever looked at quality products, they never run discounts, or almost never, very seldom. So yeah, none of these major brands are doing these discounts and stuff. So where you guys took over Centurion, got rid of the gray area stuff, maintained the client base, and like, what's the outlook now? What's the vision for you guys?
So we took over the brand. Like I said, we wanted to keep the core consumers. We wanted to keep the people that were trusted for the past 6 years. So it was a balance of how do we not lose those, but actually get rid of there are a couple things that we had to get rid of day one. Yeah. Like, no questions asked, way too risky to have, got rid of day one. There were 2 things that we kept that we kind of ended up phasing out over the next year and a half, let's call it maybe even 2 years. But it's a balancing act of, how do we do that versus not lose people? But then what we did back about a year and a half ago was we went to a great design company, partnered with them.
You guys are crushing it with labels.
And they did a great label design for us. And then Trevor in-house is great at doing labels. So he was able to take those label files, and now he understands how to make them with AI and those type of tools. Like, I have no design ability whatsoever. So that's all him. Shout out to him. He's great at that, to create new labels for us. But it's how do we create that marketing piece to stay trendy and attract that youth, compared to, hey, we're just super hardcore, but we still have the products that market to those people,
you
right?
hear all the time in store, man, this one looks sweet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's how you should be picking out a pre-workout, but hey, it works. People literally grab God of Rage, God of War. This one looks sweet. And you're like, hell yeah, brother, it is sweet.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's retail, right? It's the same thing as the grocery store. You walk in, you don't always get someone. I mean, if you get really busy, sometimes you don't get a chance to talk to everyone before they walk out of the door, right? Yeah. Same thing with a grocery store. If there's a lot of product on the shelf, how do you stand out?
Yeah. And
how do you create
labels
that?
Are working.
Correct. And I appreciate that. I mean, we do a lot of hard work. There's a lot of lost money over the years from trial and error, especially with the textured varnish, which creates a lot of challenges. But yeah, no, we've created a really good balance over time. Like I said, we want this to last the next 20 years. So how do we focus on going with the trends to last?
I think what would crush it for you guys, and I've told you in the past, a female pre-workout. A goddess of war to go with God of War. I can see couples. We have a lot of couple shoppers, They come in, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Yeah.
I think that would be such an easy sale if the husband was like, I'm getting God of Rage, and the wife's like, oh, I'll just get Victress of War, like, because it just looks cute.
Yeah.
And then from a marketing standpoint, like, if you sent that stack to couples, boom, game over. Because there's a lot of girls that aren't going to take I can barely take God of War. gotta rage.
It would be a question of how do we come up with a label?
Pink.
I mean, obviously pink, but like, how do we come up with a label that fits our, our genre, our era of what we're selling, but not too hardcore? Because what happens is, like you said, they look at our labels.
Hardcore. Like girls do like hardcore.
There are females. There are plenty of females that take our products, believe it or not. There are plenty of females, more than you probably think. But it's a question of how much business would we actually grab or add, right? I mean, for your market, it might be great. I mean, it's something we can look at.
We're going to double down on this idea. Pink, Victress of War, Goddess of War, plus breast cancer awareness. So whatever can sells, you donate X amount of dollars to Breast Cancer Foundation. So now the women feel like they're buying into something. They're giving back to females. I seriously think it would crush. I mean, it would have to be marketed. It really would have to be marketed.
Correct. It has to be marketed the right way.
I think with a good mission behind it and like a why you did it, along with like my husband already takes or my boyfriend already takes Gotta Rage, Gotta War, I'm going to take Victress of War, I think it would crush it.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if you made it super pink, super girly, it's only going to sell 2 girls.
So yeah, then it's a question of how much money do we want to pump into this thing? It's
could you do a low minimum? Like, could you test out 100? No. How low?
No, a couple thousand.
Couple thousand.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the big thing. It's like it's a large investment when we come out with a new flavor, a new SKU. Like we have to really, I mean, being a smaller brand, we really have to watch those dollars because they're being pulled from marketing pot. They're being pulled, from different places to where we could reinvest back into marketing and drive more people.
Last idea for this.
Yes.
Victress of War, Goddess of War, melons flavor, 2 big like melons on it, and it's for breast cancer. What do you think?
Great idea. A little against the grain for what we're doing. I mean, I'm not putting glitter in it. I know that's been floated. Definitely no glitter. No glitter. But I mean, hey, listen, I'm open to a lot of ideas.
But it would be like, I think of a lot of things like social media marketing. And like, if it was a girl's pre-workout called Melons that also donated back to breast cancer, it would just hit like, oh, that's pretty funny. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a girl's pre-workout and they have a mission. Like, it would
check a couple boxes that I would think are really, really important and cool. And this is like the same conversation I had with the liquid glycerol, right? Yeah. I mean, like people were talking, oh, you should do liquid glycerol, A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, no, because no one's doing anything that really like enticed me to say, hey, I want to put my name on this. I want to design this. And I'm going to be proud of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm always open to hearing these kind of ideas because like I can only think of so much.
Yeah.
You have a different mindset. And I
think
love
of a lot
the
of ideas and I lose them because I think of ideas so fast.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one watches this far into the podcast and steals our idea. The secret
Unfortunately, that's probably going to happen. So I'm like, but no one's going to rip off our branding, right?
Yeah, you can't.
Our branding is very, very difficult to rip off. Plus, we use AI for a lot of it. So have fun figuring out how to prompt AI. And I can't even figure out how to prompt AI.
It would be so obvious, like if someone copied you guys. Like, that's like brands that try to like copy First Form. Like it's a big P, white, blue with a chrome outline.
Yeah.
You'll see guys like change the color and the letter. I'm like, dude, be authentic, man. Like that looks like First Form just decided to release a gold can or a yellow, whatever.
It is so easy to create originality now with AI that like if you can't create originality, you're never going to stand out. Like consumers are going to realize that. They're going to be like, hey, I kind of subconsciously have seen this somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's not going to resonate with them if you just create the same exact thing. I know. And I know you and me are thinking of the same couple of people right now. And it is just like the worst thing you could do right now. And I think it's just pure laziness. Yeah. That's like, hey, I see someone else's design. I like that. I'm going to take it.
From a marketing standpoint, people think the recognition might translate like some way like, ooh, this store looks like Fitness Society, so I'm going to go in there. They
think they're going to grab consumers with the overlap, but ultimately what it does, I don't think it does.
It looks like, I think what happens is it almost looks like for me, like I'm not going to wear an off-brand Lululemon.
Yeah, it looks like a knockoff.
Yeah, it looks like a knockoff, and then you feel like you're wearing a knockoff.
And the consumers in this industry, especially the youth, want to have that really trendy. They want to be cool, right? Mm-hmm. They want to be with what's trendy, right? And if you're creating a knockoff brand or like a rip-off brand with someone else's label design or marketing scheme, they're going to keep buying from that other brand. They're not just going to magically go over to you unless you have like a really good partner in retail that's like hard selling your product. That'd be the only way they would get consumers. But yeah, I mean, we could go way.
So do you have any ideas for Centurion, like product wise, or is God of Thunder pretty much eating up all the creativity right now?
So
and all the push.
I mean, we just came out with Godly Cree,
Okay.
which is the first hydration and creatine product all in one. So we call it a functional creatine.
Okay.
So, you know, compared to your traditional 5-gram monohydrate, it still has that. But to utilize the creatine, you actually need to be hydrated.
Yeah.
You need water, you need carbohydrates, you need electrolytes. Like you need a driver, a substrate to put that into the muscle. It just doesn't magically happen.
Yeah.
Right. So that was another engineering product, and we've actually sold out of that.
Nice.
We are completely sold out. We're getting more next month.
We have a few on the shelf if anyone needs it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, I just ran out last week. So, I mean,
Nice.
it is gone for the next 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
But I mean, we doubled our inventory because it's moved so well. And I think a lot of the industry and the people like yourself that I work with, the retail stores, they appreciate that kind of stuff, that we put thought into these products to
Definitely.
take care of the consumers, that they can actually feel versus, hey, I just want to be cool. Because that creates return business for you.
Yes.
Cool doesn't create return business for you.
No, it's not. It's what works.
Correct.
What they feel.
And then the trust that it creates for you guys.
Yes. I think this was a great episode. I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Guys, if you could like, subscribe, share the video, we'd really appreciate it. This is a brand new channel, so we're trying to grow. You guys, Centurion Labz products are available on their website as well as ours too. They're also available in store if you guys are local and you want to try them out. We always have samples open. So thanks for watching. Thanks, Donovan, for being on.
Thanks for
and
having
have
me.
a great day.
Thanks, guys.